Tell him, McCluskey. Tell him what time it is.
Little Hen says it's time to rock and roll.
All you people are so scared of me.
Come quietly or there will be trouble.
Man, that's just me.
I'm Batman.
This is Sparta!
There is a tiger in the bathroom!
I'm an excellent driver.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Pop quiz, hot shot.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
You don't have the skills to bring up a child. I need order in my life. And this is order?
Hello and welcome to the Sunday Movie Show. See what I did there?
Yep.
Yeah. For Sunday the 3rd of August. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Stuart.
Yep. And we're with you now for the next 90 minutes or so on this Sunday because of the fact of that it's a bit difficult at the moment. Last week we had to do Sunday because Monday was difficult. This week, Monday is difficult, so we're having to do Sunday again. And next week, we should be Sunday as well, because Monday is going to be difficult again. So, it's been a hectic kind of time, but we are still managing to be here. We're going to go through a look at some movie news, the UK box office top 10, and then look at some new releases, including these ones.
The smallest film release of the year, known as Guardians of the Galaxy, an animated adventure film with a nut job.
Yep, and then after that we'll go through in the home releases section on DVD and Blu-ray the top 10 for the DVD and Blu-ray releases and the new releases this week, which is quite a few.
Yeah, animated sequel adventure with Rio 2. Kieran Lutz decides to see if he can better Dwayne The Rock Johnson with The Legend of Hercules. Yeah, drama Labour Day, British drama with a ton of swearing in it, starred up. The Double, very strange science fiction horror film with Almost Human, and Jean-Claude Van Damme attempts comedy in a way with Welcome to the Jungle.
Yeah. A couple of films in there. The other thing is that they've got titles that have been on other films recently as well. So I think it's kind of the theme this week. We've got films that have the same titles as other films.
Metafilms.
Ooh. Hyperbole. Yeah. But before all that, let's go straight into some movie news. Let's go through. You do yours first because you've got more. I've only just got one piece of news. So.
Yeah, this is not movie news. Well, I don't know if I actually put it down as movie. No, it is not movie news, but it's just the fact that I'm slightly peed off because my cinema are charging double the price of a standard cinema ticket to see the first episode of the new series of Doctor Who.
Well, I mean, people had a go at me for having a go about allocated seating coming in at Cineworld cinemas, so...
Yeah, this is more extreme than allocated seating. This is £15 instead of £7.50 a ticket. This is double the price to see a film. Well, not even a film, something that's getting shown on TV at the same time.
Yeah, it's a bit excessive, really. I mean, I don't know if it maybe comes under, because it's being done as a live broadcast, not a film. If this is something that maybe either it's the BBC mandates it, or if it's something to do with the whole live, like the opera things, the company that does that. Because I know that when it comes to seeing the live showings, they are more expensive than normal cinema tickets, and that some of this is stipulated by the actual company that does all that, the live screenings company. So I don't know if that might be the cinema's fault, or it might be whoever's organising the streaming of that.
Yeah, but the biggest kick in the crotch, though, is the fact that this is £5 more, the tickets, than what it cost to actually go and see the 50th anniversary episode. Because the 50th anniversary episode tickets were £10. This is just a new Doctor, and the tickets are £15. So it's £5 more than that. So yeah, it's greediness, and I'm just going to watch it at home. And enough of that anyway. But movie news-wise, the next Transporter film has not only been given a name, but the release date and a few details of the film have also been announced. The film will be called The Transporter Legacy. I am not making that up. And will be the start of it.
Is that not the same, just exactly the same as another fourth film in the series, which then replaced the original actor?
Yeah, but the idea goes pretty much the same as well, and will be the start of a new trilogy. That will focus on drug trafficking. That part is slightly different. Actor Ed Skerin will be taking over from Jason Statham, so no Statham neither, as the lead role, and the film is set to come out on March the 6th, 2015.
It's a bit of an odd one, isn't it? And the only thing that's sort of missing from that description of things is to have the last film was called Transformers: Age of Extinction and not Transformers: Legacy. Because it's like the fourth film seems to be Legacy in most things now. Then,
yeah, without Jason Statham as well.
Yeah, I don't hold any hope for this. Because did you see any of the Transporter series that there was?
Yeah, I've seen bits and bobs of it.
It was pretty bad.
It's going to be directed by Luc Besson as well.
Well, that might be that it maybe gets some look. Because, I mean, I'm kind of tired of these written by Luc Besson movies. That's what like Transporter 2 and 3 were. Transporter 1 wasn't even directed by him, was it? It was... I can't think who it was now, but it wasn't him who directed the first one, was it?
I'm not sure.
I think he produced it, and he probably had a hand in the writing of it. But I'm like, because we were just talking about this before the show. Lucy comes out in a couple of weeks, and it's Luc Besson returning to directing again instead of just writing a film and pulling it off to someone else. So I kind of, I don't mind that so much if it's him directing, because he is actually a decent director.
Yeah, but no. Next piece of news is The Hollywood Reporter are reporting that the director of Bridesmaids, Paul Feig, is the frontrunner to become the director of Ghostbusters 3. Yeah, not only that, the idea that they have is to completely change it and have a female Ghostbusters and not male Ghostbusters and make it a complete reboot.
Okay, I'm not so much into Ghostbusters, but I know that you and other guys, like the guys that Following the Nerd, are not going to like that at all, really. Because you want to see the old gang back, as much as unfortunately Harold Ramis is no longer with us to do that.
It's down to the fact that they've got Paul Feig as well, so you know Melissa McCarthy is going to be part of it.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah, Maya Rudolph might have a role as probably the female version of Winston Zedmore.
Well, I mean, it's the whole thing of like you've got the female version of the Expendables coming out as well. That's going ahead, isn't it? Whether or not, because we've not heard anything on that for a while, but it's supposed to be going ahead.
Yeah, the Expendables.
Yeah.
Stupid title. Or the next, if they go with the next Expendables, they'll probably call it the Nextables.
No, that's terrible.
Yeah, the Nexpendables. Next piece of news is Universal Pictures have confirmed that the release date for the Snow White and the Huntsman prequel, The Huntsman, will be April the 22nd, 2016. Chris Hemsworth will return as the Huntsman, with Frank Darabont set to direct. This means that the Mummy reboot has been pushed back to the end of 2016, and that is going to be held by Alex Kurtzman and Robert Orsi.
Well, I mean, you and I both sort of have agreed that there's issues with the whole Snow White and Huntsman thing.
Yeah, the film is terrible.
Yeah, so really,
it's a prequel and it's directed by Frank Darabont.
Yeah, I mean that I like, but the whole thing of Chris Hemsworth's accent in the film was atrocious, and we're going to have to be subjected to that with him as the main character now.
Well, Frank Darabont could change it.
What, have him be Swedish or something instead?
Yeah, French, Swedish, Spanish, just loads of different accents. He spins a little wheel and whatever accent it lands on, that's what he does. And my last sort of piece of news, it's not news in general, but it's just bringing it forward. When we review Guardians of the Galaxy, just to note, it's just taken $94 million at the US box office, becoming the highest grossing film to be released in the US in the month of August, out there doing the previous Bond film.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be now that films are not doing so well at this time of the year, but obviously now Guardians has kind of shown that they can, as long as there's the pull for it and the attraction for it. So
the third highest taken film this year, behind Transformers and Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Just $1 million behind Captain America. The thing is, though, that's not the final total neither.
No.
The final total becomes apparent Monday afternoon. So it might have actually surpassed Captain America. And if that's the case, I think Marvel will be ecstatic, because Captain America was a sequel and it already established the character. This is bringing the characters out for the first time. for a lot of people. So
the thing is, I don't know if you saw the other day on Facebook, I did say that I reckon that, because they were estimating originally that it was going to do 70 or 75.
The original, I think it was 56, and then they increased it to 60.
Yeah, I read that it was 75 something million, but then that they then re-estimated it to be around 90. And I looked at it and I thought, you know what? I think this is going to be 100. And I actually said that. So I still believe that, because people in America as well, especially Sunday night, there's going to be a big draw, I think, to this, because word of mouth on this is spreading. I've not heard anyone see this film and absolutely give it anything other than at least a positive thing. Nothing negative on it, and short of ecstatic as well. So I think that it's easily going to get a boost this evening, Sunday evening in the States, because bear in mind, obviously, we're doing this at 8:30 at night. It's 6 hours behind in America. So they've still got a good 6 hours, 6 to 8 to 10 hours of showings where people can go and see it. I think it's easily going to make up 100.
Yeah, I'm just looking on IMDb, and the lowest ratings it's getting is from the San Francisco Chronicle, which gave it a 50. Got a score of 50, and The Guardian, which has got a score of 60.
Yeah, so even half. I mean, The Guardian, I'm surprised at. I'm honestly surprised at. I did read part of theirs, and there was several reviews written on the Guardian website, which some sort of mixed it. But we'll get into that a bit, I suppose, when we're doing the review later.
Yep.
Not going off track. Is that your last piece of news, was it? Yeah.
Yes, it was, yeah.
Okay, because I've just got the one piece of news about... it's Christopher Walken and Bill Murray, who've both been cast in Jon Favreau's adaptation of The Jungle Book. Christopher Walken's been cast as the voice of King Louie, the King of the Swingers, and Bill Murray has been cast as Baloo, the bear that helps to raise Mowgli. It's not known if the animal roles will be played by the actors or by filming real animals, or if it will be played by other actors doing motion capture. But I mean, it would be nice to see Christopher Walken playing King Louie, even doing motion capture or something like that, because of the fact of the man can dance. He's got proper skills in dancing, and that's something that's going to come out brilliantly in the role of King Louie, who loves that. If you remember the animation, there's a great sequence of that. It's not obviously from the book, but they've got to do something along those lines, having cast Christopher Walken it.
Yeah, Bill Murray not so much though, because I don't think he'll be able to move as much as Baloo does, so they'll need to get somebody in to stand in for him. If that's the case.
Yeah, well, he can probably do the sort of the waddling bear walk thing, can't he? Because a bear walking on its hind legs kind of waddles a bit, doesn't it? So I'm like, I can see that.
Yeah, I don't think. I think he's. If that's the case, he'll be asking for a lot of money to do that, because it means that he has to get out of his seat and move.
Well, he's not Marlon Brando.
Yeah, but he's becoming like that.
Okay, before we go on to the UK box office top 10, if you are listening, I forgot to mention, in the bottom right hand corner of the screen, you can join us live in chat. The box office has been listed in there, so you can have a look on there. Join us quickly and give us your feedback on any of those as we go through the UK box office top 10.
Yeah, so if I have to read it the way it is in the live chat, it says that number 10 is a new entry for the House of Magic 9.
Yeah, it's a bit messed up because the fact that I tried to space it, but it just seems to have clumped it all together because it's weird.
The worst thing about that, though, is it makes Mrs. Brown's Boys have 8 films, which is please no. But number 10 is a new entry for the House of Magic.
Yeah, and I have to admit, I haven't really seen it. I did go and see it, but the problem is that I was a bit tired, admittedly. But generally, I see a film in the cinema, I stay awake. Unfortunately, it happened in 300 Rise of an Empire because that was just boring, and it happened in the House of Magic, and it didn't just happen once in the House of Magic, it kept happening during the whole film. I kept feeling nodding off, and it was just uninteresting. It's an animated film about a cat that finds its way into it's abandoned, finds its way into a house, and it's a house of a magician who's about to lose the house because his son wants to sort of sell it out from under him, and the cat has to try and help him keep it, and it really not. I wasn't overly impressed by the animation. It didn't visually keep me interested. As I said, it fell asleep, and it's not anything you haven't seen before. It kind of wants to be Toy Story because it has these characters and things, and it just doesn't. It's not anywhere near the level that it wants to be.
At number 9 is Mrs. Brown's Boys, not 8.
Yeah, done with this. It's just, it's had enough. It's had its day. Please get it out of the box office top 10. Get it out of the top 15 altogether. I'd love, just see it drop like a stone now because it really should.
Yeah, number 8 is a new entry for Kick.
Yeah, it's a Bollywood film. We don't get to see those. We don't review them, so we can't really say anything about it. So we'll just skip that. Skip Kick.
Yep, but number 7 is Boyhood.
I still haven't seen this, but I do want to see it. Tell us, pray tell, is it that good?
Yes, it is that good. It's in my top 5 of the year. There is another film that surprisingly has managed to make its way into my top 5 of the year as well. But yeah, this is definitely in my top 5 of the year. It's Richard Linklater at his best. At number 6 is a new entry for Earth to Echo.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed it more than my other half who went and saw it with. But I mean, I don't know if maybe that's the sci-fi aspect of it. I know she's not massively into sci-fi, although she's like this week's new big release. And Earth to Echo has this amazing thing where it took me back to my childhood a bit. It reminded me especially of things like E.T. There's definitely things that it kind of references in that. There's the film Explorers, which is an old one from the 80s with young Joaquin Phoenix. Not Joaquin Phoenix, River Phoenix. The late River Phoenix and Ethan Hawke in it when they were kids. It's kind of got little other bits of references to things like even things like District 9, more recent stuff like that, and it kind of it's impressive what it managed to do. I really enjoyed it, and I didn't get bored of the whole found footage aspect of it. I know you say it's not found footage, but I mean in the way it's shot, the handheld sort of thing.
Yeah, it's a kids' film that doesn't try to be anything more than a kids' film, and well done for doing that. Because a lot of kids' films are trying to be slightly more adulty or whatever, and it's nice to actually go to the cinema and see a PG film for a change.
Yeah, very nice.
Especially a live-action one. At number 5 is Transformers: The Age of Extinction.
Which is... I mean, I'm not going to say I hate it. I'm not going to say I'm bored of it. It is... I have seen it twice, and I have to admit, the second time round, it really did stretch out its welcome at its almost 3-hour running time. I had fun with it. I enjoyed it more than the last 2 Transformers films. The first one I still think is pretty good, but it's definitely got the same Michael Bay problems that there are with the other films, and Mark Wahlberg coming in to replace Shia LaBeouf just does help a little bit, but not enough.
Yeah, and now if I read this from the live chat, number 4 is How to Train Your Dragon 23, or How to Train Your Dragon 2.
I did try and space it. Yeah.
It does look comical, that though. How to Train Your Dragon 23.
Yeah, and I bet if there was 23 of them, whoever it was, I can't remember, would probably still post on Facebook. Watching How to Train a Dragon 23. Still haven't trained any dragons.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic animation. One of the best in not only this year, probably the last couple of years, and such great work put into the animation, but also decent story and fun and great from start to finish.
Yep. At number 3 is a new one for The Purge Anarchy.
Yeah, we both liked this, but although I liked it more than you did, I didn't have as many issues with it, I think, as you did.
Yeah.
I like that it does expand out though, the whole thing. Instead of it being a small trapped in a house situation, it opens it up and you see more of the whole world of the Purge. And I like where it's kind of heading with that. There's this whole sort of political undertone. There's this whole thing of it being about between the rich and the poor, and I found that to be quite interesting, and it kept my attention, as well as some nice little action bits and even more, since you were saying on Following the Nerd the other day, the budget for it was only about something like £8 or £9 million or $1 million.
$5 million.
Yes, especially at that kind of value for what it cost. It's even if it doesn't do brilliantly, it's already made back its money, and there will be a third film. I know they've announced it, but I kind of thought this is setting up for a franchise, and if they can keep doing them at this kind of value, the cost of them, and doing this much with this little, then I think we'll continue to be impressed with it.
Yeah, Jason Blum says that he's got numerous ideas, including a prequel, which explores the first Purge, which I'm interested in watching. It's just that it's a pity that it's a thriller without the thrilling moments. There is no tension in the film at all, which really did annoy me, because I was expecting some tension in the film, but that was non-existent. And number 2 is a new one.
I was just going to say as well, it always seems to be the third film in a franchise often is a prequel of some sort, so it kind of will be following that formula, won't it?
Yep. Number 2 is a new entry for Hercules.
Yeah, I want to hear what you have to say about this, because I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really, really good. Surprisingly for Brett Ratner, I didn't just think it was a good film. I thought, I had fun with it, and I thought it was very, very competently directed for him. So, what did you think? 'Cause I know you've seen it now.
Yeah, I went and see it as a double bill with Guardians of the Galaxy. So I saw Guardians of the Galaxy first, and that finished, and I thought, my cinema's also showing Hercules 10 minutes after Guardians of the Galaxy, so I might as well just go and see that. It was in 3D as well, so I saw it in 3D.
I saw it in 2D.
Yeah, I mean, it's cheesy beyond cheese. It's like an explosion in a Baby Bell factory. But it's not bad. I wasn't expecting anything from it at all. I wasn't expecting anything good from it at all. But it is honestly not bad. The reason why it's not bad is because Brett Ratner's got the casting right this time. The actors who they've chosen to play Hercules has been completely a sidestep, a misstep. They've gotten the wrong people, including when we reviewed The Legend of Hercules. Because you think that Keelan Lutz might be a good fit for him, but it wasn't, because he's wooden beyond a plank. But they get Dwayne The Rock Johnson, or Dwayne Johnson as he's now fully known as, and he just has fun with the role. Rather than playing it completely serious, he just has fun with the role, and you can tell that he's having fun with the character that he's got. There's a few little sarcastic quips here and there in the film just to make it flow slightly better, and the action set pieces are not badly done, and the bad guy is very predictable and annoying, but you expect that from this kind of film. But overall, it's not bad. It's nothing like groundbreaking or exceptional, but it's a passable film.
Yeah, I know. I watched it and I was honestly surprised that. I mean, I watched it and I came out and I thought, that was Brett Ratner? I don't believe it. Especially from that kind of film. There was no point where I thought, that's terrible or boring or horrible, and I was entertained fully for the whole time. And as much as it's a little predictable, I mean, any of that kind of film is, but yeah, I really liked it.
And at number 1 is Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, which we both really, really like. One of the best films of this year, I think, especially given the performances, which largely Andrew Serkis and Toby Kebbell, who are absolutely fantastic in it, as well as the human characters too. But it's just a fantastic follow-up to Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and I look forward to see what they do with the third film. I'm questioning, obviously, who they're going to get to direct it, if it's going to be Rupert Wyatt, who did the original, or who is it did Dawn?
Matthew Vaughn.
Matthew Vaughn, yeah. Was it Matthew Vaughn?
Uh-huh.
No, I don't think it was.
I'm sure.
I'll double check that. But yeah, I'm interested to see who they will get for
Matt Reeves. Sorry,
Matt Reeves. Yes, I was going to say. I didn't think it was Matthew Vaughn. Yeah. So I'm interested to see if they're going to get who they'll get to do a third one. If they get either of those back, or if they'll go for someone else again, which potentially then puts the franchise at risk.
Yeah, I would say just use Matt Reeves again, because he did a competent job with it. He did a brilliant job with it.
Yeah. So let's go on to this week's new releases. Starting off with the little film, as we said, Guardians of the Galaxy, if you believe that's little or not. It is Marvel's latest adaptation from the comic books. It is a completely new thing. It's not linked to really, apart from elements in the story, to the universe. It's not linked to any of the other films that we've had so far from Marvel Studios. In this, and still, instead of, you have a new set of characters, the main character of whom is Peter Quill, played by Chris Pratt, who at the start of the movie we're introduced to him as a young boy on Earth in 1988. It says the very first thing comes up, Earth 1988 on the screen, where you see him as a young boy, unfortunately saying goodbye to his mother as she passes away, ill in hospital. He is then abducted by a spaceship that appears and sort of steals him in the night. Cut to 26 years later, he is then going to this abandoned planet and finding this orb that he's collecting, where he sort of runs into a couple of people who go on about the fact that they want to take him and the orb because someone named Ronin is after this orb. He doesn't sort of take their sort of lead, he instead escapes, he steals the orb, gets away, goes on to sort of try and sell on the orb to his seller, who kind of backs out of the deal as soon as he hears that someone named Ronan was sort of interested in it. Bumps into Gamora, who has been sent by Ronan to steal the orb and take it from him. Zoe Saldana playing Gamora, and they sort of get into a bit of a fisticuffs on the planet, where they are then arrested along with Rocket Raccoon, who is actually a raccoon, who is basically trying to sort of capture Quill for a bounty that's out on him. Unfortunately, because of this, they all end up in prison, where they run into another character, Drax the Destroyer, played by Dave Bautista. Here's a clip.
Woman, your words mean nothing to me.
Hey! Oh, crap. You know, if killing Ronan is truly your sole purpose, I don't think this is the best way to go about it.
Are you not the man this wench attempted to kill?
Well, I mean, she's hardly the first woman to try and do that to me. Look, this is like from a smoking hot ragejack girl. Stabbed me with a fork. Didn't like me skipping out on her at sunrise. I got right here a Cree girl. Tried to rip out my thorax. She caught me with this skinny little Oscar-Varian who worked in Nova Records. I was trying to get information. Ever see an Oscar-Varian? Tentacles, needles for teeth. I think I'm seriously interested in that. You don't care. But here's the point. She betrayed Ronan. He's coming back for her. And when he does, that's when you...
Why would I put my finger on his throat?
What? Oh, no, it's a symbol. This is a symbol for you slicing his throat.
I would not slice his throat. I would cut his head clean off.
It's a general expression for you killing somebody. You've heard of this. You've seen this, right? You know what that is.
Yeah.
Everyone knows.
No.
So, I'm being chastised during that clip because of the fact of the... By Stuart has mentioned me, I didn't mention the character of Groot yet, who I was getting to. Also, along the ride is Groot, who is a tree-like character, who is Rocket's kind of bodyguard and muscle. The whole thing of that, they then end up finding themselves in this prison, and they end up sort of banding together with the skilled Rocket, who is known for escaping 22 prisons so far, to escape and then sort of head out to do something to do with this orb to prevent Ronan from getting it, because of the fact that this orb is quite dangerous, we find out. So, here's the thing with Guardians of the Galaxy. As I said, it is a completely new Marvel franchise. It is, although it's kind of nothing to do with the other films, because it's not got anything to do with Iron Man or Thor or the Incredible Hulk or any of that. It is linked to them because of the fact of that there are elements and a villain that's in this, which has been sort of linked into the whole Avengers storyline. So that's not yet connected, although we know for a fact in the future it will be. This, though, is completely standalone on its own, setting up the new thing. And the thing that's most surprising is that it's pretty much pitch perfect on all the characters, all the things in the universe. Everything works in it. There's some great humour elements, as you may have heard in that clip a little bit. The whole sort of things that don't translate, things that are human nature necessarily don't make sense to aliens. It is a whole thing of set out in space with loads of aliens and different things, and it looks fantastic. Lots of effects and special effects, and also lots of makeup on people and things. But you've got great performances here. You've got also very well written characters. Each of them have their own good points and bad points. They'll have their issues. I mean, we see Peter Quill's are played out because we see him as a kid. We kind of see his ones. We then don't see them, but we get issues with Rocket, who is sort of has problems with his own past and the way he was created. You have the whole thing of Drax, who's affected because his wife and daughter were killed by Ronan. And you have the whole thing of Gamora, who is an assassin by trade and skill, but because she's been made into one and not necessarily what she was going to be. And it's really well done. But the most surprising thing is the character of Groot, who you do feel this strong emotional attachment throughout the film. And that's what's really surprising, because it's Vin Diesel playing Groot. You don't get to see him, you get to hear him briefly, but only because all he can say is, "I am Groot." And it's really well done, fantastically kind of taking Marvel and the Avengers into sort of Star Wars. I would say now that Star Wars actually has a strong competitor for Star Wars Episode 7, because really there's been nothing really like the Star Wars films, or nothing like the original Star Wars films. The new ones aren't that good, but the original Star Wars films are kind of majestic in their quality, and this is the first film in a long time that's kind of tackled that and kind of come away from it better, I think, than the original thing, the original sort of Star Wars thing.
Yeah, I don't know what to say, because I've got some breaking news, but I'll do that after the thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy. But Guardians of the Galaxy is just outstandingly awesome. I've seen it twice, and I loved it more the second time. It's down to the way that James Gunn has managed to handle the film, because they've given the chance to this small director who's just been known to make tiny little obscure movies, including Slither and Super. And they gave him a chance to do one on a bigger scale, because he is a huge, massive comic book fan, especially when he worked on Trauma movies. And giving him the opportunity to be able to do something like this is a risk. It's a very risky risk to take. And well done for Marvel for doing that, because they got the right person. Because his humour plays across in the entirety of the film. On every one of the characters. Even if you look at the straight-faced Gamora, Zoe Saldana's character, you would expect her not to crack jokes, but even she has a few funny lines here and there. And I also think that this is the most competent Marvel film, because the fact that even though Peter Quill is the main character, Star-Lord is the main character, they don't always just concentrate on him. It's not like the Avengers where it was all surrounding around Iron Man. This is, it is, the main character is Peter Quill, but we do get stuff to do with Drax. We do get stuff to do with Rocket, proper emotions from each one of them as well, and it's brilliantly handled. There's some fantastic set pieces. You can argue the fact that it's an overuse of CGI, but what you're going to expect in a science fiction film, we're set in this universe, you're not going to expect it always to be set on small little planets and whatever and be practical effects all the time. They use that, but not all the time, so you need all these explosions here and there. And he handles the pacing of the film brilliantly. He handles the flow of the film brilliantly. I loved each one of the characters. The bad guys were proper bad guys. You look at Karen Gillan, who played Nebula. She has got an evil streak alongside Zoe Saldana, sort of like opposite side of her. So it is. I really liked it. I loved it.
Yeah, and it consistently gets laughs from start to beginning, and also through the use of music. There is the opening title sequence, which is after a little intro bit on Earth, is set then present day on an alien planet, and using music, and it's using tracks, a great selection of tracks from the 70s and 80s, because it's obviously set with this character who he has a Walkman all the way through it, which is a tape of music he has when he left Earth. So all the music he's got is old music, and there's a great opening bit where he's just walking through something, but he's listening to the music, and it pops up on the screen, Guardians of the Galaxy, and it gets a great laugh from the audience, because it's just like kind of like a misbelief of, what, really is this going on? But they're going with it, they're laughing at it, and the audience just goes along with it and has fun, and it's really well put together because of that.
Yeah, there's a brilliant scene which involves Groot when he sort of like spears multiple bad guys onto his vines, smacks them against another lot of them, smacks them against the wall constantly, and then after he's done that, he turns around and smiles. And both screens that I went to see the film, they were just in hysterics at that scene. And even just the sarcastic quips from Rocket, they worked because they never felt forced. The nature of Peter Quill, of Star-Lord, when he's doing the dancing, when he's actually going up against Drax... when he's going up against... Ronan, when he's doing the crotch thrusts. Just even he's dancing along to that to try and sort of like put him off a little bit. It's little nuances like that. It's brilliant. When I went to see it in IMAX 3D, and the scene where Groot releases these sort of like fireflies from his grasp, etc., to like light the way inside of Ronan's ship is beautiful in 3D. In IMAX 3D, it is absolutely beautiful, and I can't believe I'm seeing that.
Yeah, I mean, I also saw it in 3D. I saw it the IMAX 3D the week before release, because I was able to see that. But then I've seen it twice more since then, and I will probably still see it again at the cinema if I come around and I have time and a chance, because it really is just a fun film that you can watch again and again. So I look forward to that. So. Shall we see if the other week's movie the other movie this week can compete with Guardians of the Galaxy, shall we?
Before that, though, piece of breaking news is that Studio Ghibli are closing. They have officially announced that they are closing. Last week it was rumoured that they were closing, but now it has been officially announced that after When Marnie Was There, that is going to be the last ever Studio Ghibli movie.
Right. Any particular reason for that? I know you've been sort of keeping an eye on this because you love Studio Ghibli, but...
Yeah, it's down to the fact that since I don't know what film it was, it might have been Arrietty or whatever, production costs on the films has become so much that they're not making their money back on their movies. Because they do not want to send their films over to American companies to help them out. They prefer to actually do them in Japan. And their last film, which they released, The Wind Rises, cost $90 million to make. And they're not making their money back at all. They're not making profits on any of their films anymore. So it's with Hayao Miyazaki stepping down as well after he did The Wind Rises. It looks like...
Right. I'm kind of surprised that it cost that much for an animated film of that. I mean, it's not CG'd or anything. It's I don't
all hand drawn.
Yeah, I don't quite understand how that cost. That doesn't seem to make sense to me.
It's ridiculous. So there's 2 more films to come out: The Tale of Princess Kaguya, which is getting done by Isao Takahata, and then When Marnie Was There, and that'll be the last ever Studio Ghibli film.
Oh well, that's a bit of a shame.
So when I
sorry.
Yeah, when I go to see When Marnie Was There, I'll probably end up coming out of the cinema with a tear in my eye.
Well, I mean I get that this sort of bugs. This is it kind of sucks for you, especially. I'm not so massively into Studio Ghibli. I like their stuff, but it's a bit of a shame. But I don't think I'm as hard hit by that as you. So
I am, because it's the end of hand drawn animation films, in my opinion.
It is a shame.
So that's the end of that. Well, onto an animated film. So it links in badly, though, because this is nowhere near as good as what Ghibli would do. But it's The Nut Job, and it's directed by Peter Lepinotis. I'll just go by that, because that's what I've got anyway. And it's got a sort of decent voice cast, and you've got Will Arnett, who voices the character of Surly, and Brendan Fraser, Liam Neeson, Katherine Heigl. Yeah, I'll take the decent voice cast back, because Katherine Heigl's in the film.
Yeah, thanks for that.
I know. And it's centred in a city park where all these animals live, including Surly. Surly's sort of like the outcast of them all. He's left on the outskirts of them. He's still involved with the group of animals who live in the park, but he's known as the outcast because of the trouble that he causes. And unfortunately, his latest prank, which involves him raiding this peanut cart, causes their main tree, which houses all of their food, to be set on fire and completely disintegrated, along with their food, their stash for winter, because winter is about to approach. So Surly gets
coming. Sorry, I couldn't resist that.
Surly, he gets thrown out of the park along with his rat little buddy. He has to live on the streets along with all of the animals which get segregated from the group. Surly then discovers that there's this huge, massive nut shop that's going to open up. And so he sets it about himself to try and break into the shop so he can get all the nuts originally for himself and his rat friend. However, Katherine Heigl's character, who plays Andy, is asked by Raccoon, who leads all of the people inside the park, to team up with Surly so they can get all the nuts from this place and sort of like double cross him and keep the nuts for themselves. Here's a clip.
I'm not going to feel sorry for you.
Of course, yes, I understand.
Stay! All right, it's safe to come down.
I'm going to level with you because you seem like a reasonable guy. If I don't get rid of you, they are going to send me back to the pound, all right? And I can't go back to that pound.
Oh, yeah, sure, I believe you.
No, I'm a victim of circumstance.
Not my problem, dog. You guys okay? Don't worry about her.
This is incredible. There's enough food here to feed the park for years.
Hey, whoa, what are you doing?
Look, can we be friends?
Oh, great.
Come on. I can do all sorts of stuff. You want to see? You know what? I can fetch things. Huh? I can sit. Oh, look at this thing. This is crazy. Woo. Has a mind of its own. Oh, I can play dead. Watch. Ugh.
Yeah, I forgot to tell you that there's a bit of quiet bit at the end because I was too rushed in getting the clip, so I forgot to edit the quiet bit out. So that was my bad there. But it's a good job that you unmuted it straight away. But yeah, the rest of the film is practically just them double crossing it, because then they discover that this nut shop is a front for the people who own it to try and burgle this bank, which is not far from them. And like I said, the film itself is just about everybody double-crossing each other. And that's what makes the movie bad, to be honest. Because it's not a good thing to say to children to double-cross each other. Everybody is bad against each other in this movie. There is no nice character in this film. The voice acting is very subpar. Will Arnett does his best, and he always does his best when he does voiceover of characters. But in this one, he's straining a bit too hard. Liam Neeson is doing the very typical, if I catch you, I'll kill you kind of bad guy thing that he's always doing. So it's very stereotypical. He's a stereotypical raccoon in this case. And the animation is very...
Is he like another raccoon that we've had this week?
Oh, God, no. Rocket Raccoon would absolutely urinate all over him in this case. Honestly. But yeah, the animation is very average at best, considering we've had brilliant animation from everything like the Lego Movie to even Rio 2. Rio 2 is a very sort of like vapid film when it comes to the storyline. But the animation is beautiful. It pops. There is sharpness to the animation. There is colour. There is interest to the characters when it comes to the animation. In this one, it's very substandard. It's very bog standard. It suffers from the same kind of problem as... I'm trying to think of the film where it was released last year in the US, the animated movie, and we only got it this year.
Oh, Escape from Planet Earth.
That's it. Yeah, it suffers from the same problem as that because America got this, the nut job, about 5 months ago. So we're only getting it now, and because it's down to the fact that it didn't do very well at the US box office, so they're trying to put as much gap between the release date of it to try and think, we might garner a bit more interest in the movie. That's not the case because you're releasing it the same week as Guardians of the Galaxy. Kids are more interested in going to see this. It's Guardians of the Galaxy because it's a 12A, and so they can go with their parents rather than sit in and watching The Nut Job. The only time I heard a kid mention The Nut Job was when I went to see Guardians of the Galaxy in IMAX. And the kid was running out of the screening of The Nut Job going, The Nut Job, The Nut Job, The Nut Job. And I was thinking, you've either A, seen it, or B, you've been dragged along to your parents and you're screaming The Nut Job because you want help. And that's code for help. Because, yeah, it's not very good. There are many more animated films, even on the cinemas at the moment. Go to the Saturday clubs, where you get to see a film for £1. You'll see better animated films in that Saturday club than you will with The Nut Job.
I expect probably hang on a little while, and this will probably end up being on the Saturday morning shows for £1.
Yeah, next week.
I don't know about that soon, but I think there will probably be sometime in the next month or two.
No, next week.
No, I don't think it'll be that bad.
That's how much hope I have in this movie. It'll probably go into the top 10 at around about number 5, number 6, and be in there for about a day, and then thrown out.
Well, that would still do better than House of Magic.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, though. I actually probably would have rather watched House of Magic than The Nut Job.
Okay, that's it for the cinema section. Hang around after this ad because we'll be back with the home releases. Back in a moment.
From page to screen, Moviecast. So they have 9 times out of 10 they have to send it back to you unopened or just throw it in the garbage can.
Things don't always look exactly as we envision our life to look, but sometimes it works out and turns out even better.
Gregor Fisher, his bacon number is 2 because he was appeared with January Jones in Love Actually, and January Jones and Kevin Bacon appeared in X-Men First Class together.
I've got to say, the very Harold and Kumar 3D Christmas now, that just makes me want to rush out.
It's about the acting, about the writing. That's really what theatre is for me.
Probably had more names than Prince or whatever. Never mind, there's a joke for the oldies. Be like, who's Prince? Who's he? I'd just like to see Mr. Freeze hiring his bad guys going, right, okay, so you're a psycho, right, can you ice skate? Head over to iTunes, Spreaker and Stitcher and put in the search box From Page to Screen.
Alright, welcome back to this week's Monday Movie Show. We're into the home release section of the show. Before we go into them, there is an end credit sequence of Guardians of the Galaxy. Make sure you stay around and watch it.
Yeah, and it's not just the bit, which we won't spoil what it is, but the bit that involves dancing.
Yeah,
it's not just that, there is another bit as well.
Yeah, but make sure you stick around to see it because you're going to see a Marvel film, and so you know there's going to be an end of credit sequence. The amount of people that walked out the both screenings that I went to see was unbelievable. It's like they never saw a Marvel film before. But we've got no Marvel...
It's kind of become their sort of their thing, really, isn't it?
Yeah, but we've got no Marvel films in the Blu-ray and DVD section of the show. However, we are looking at these films.
Yes, we have new releases including Rio 2, another animated film, which we've got coming up first of all. Then we've got The Legend of Hercules, which is not the Hercules film that we were talking about in the top box office top 10. It is a different one from several months ago. Then we have Labour Day, which is a sort of a small drama based on the book. We have a British thriller prison drama called Starred Up. We have a odd British indie film, The Double. We have a weird sort of science fiction movie in Almost Human, and we also have Van Damme doing humour in Welcome to the Jungle.
On top of that, we have TV Movie of the Week and our Movie of the Week. You can probably guess what it's going to be. But let's kick things off with the Blu-ray and DVD top 10.
Starting at number 10 with Despicable Me 2.
Bottom. Just gives me a chance to actually say that again. Minions movie next year. Next March, isn't it?
Well, the thing is, I'm going to say, and my other half has just sort of messaged in the chat saying, stop insulting House of Magic. I'm going to insult it again by saying it's nowhere near as good as Despicable Me 2, because I loved it. I loved Despicable Me 2. Didn't like House of Magic.
Well, you fell asleep halfway through, so you can't fully justify that. You need to watch the whole film before you say if you didn't like it or not.
Well, no, I didn't like it because I was bored. That's why I fell asleep.
You still fell asleep halfway through. I fell asleep during George of the Jungle, but I managed to wake myself up before he hit another tree.
Oh, dear. And number 9 is How to Train Your Dragon.
Which I've not seen.
You've still not seen the first one?
I've been stupidly busy over the last few weeks because I've decided to take it up on myself with the hectic schedule that I've got to now paint my flat and go swimming as well. I should be going swimming and painting my flat at the same time.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't do the two at the same time because that probably would not work out well.
Get me banned from the swimming pool. Just see me there with a paint and paintbrush.
Yeah, or do very bad damage, water damage to your flat.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it's fantastic animation, and I want you to see it because I want to hear what you say. It's not as good as the second one animation-wise because they did make some advances in the animation, but it's really, really good because it's obviously setting up the characters more and you get to know them. So I really, really loved it, and that's what made the second one really even better for me. At number 8 is Kumba, A Zebra's Tale.
Yeah, even the animation in Kumba, A Zebra's Tale, is better than... Actually, the Nut Job. The animation is better than that. I can't see how it's better than House of Magic because I'm not going to insult it like you did. But
well, I think I haven't seen Kumba, but I'm probably going to guess it probably was either at least as good as or probably better than House of Magic, animation-wise.
Yeah, we'll just leave it alone because I think Kat might kick you in the face the next time she sees you if you keep on annoying it. But Kumba, A Zebra's Tale, it starts off quite well. It just then ends off being a very stereotypical kids animated film where there is very little interest in the movie. It was nice the way it actually begun, but after that, after the first 10 minutes, it just becomes boring.
Number 7 is The Wolf of Wall Street.
An hour too long. Cut out an hour, cut out a few of the party scenes, etc., and you'll have a decent film.
Number 6 is Liam Neeson again in sort of angry voice mode, doing, stop going around and non-stop, just, oh yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to hit you, I'm going to do this, oh yeah.
Just stop, that's a terrible Irish accent. I would have actually seen...
I wasn't even trying to do an Irish accent because he doesn't really do one anymore.
Sounded like one, but it would have been much more interesting to see Liam Neeson's character from The Nut Job in this film, so as a raccoon. It might have made it really...
I can just imagine him like, miss, I want all the nuts on the plane.
Yeah, it might have made a really surreal movie, sort of similar to the trailer for Kevin Smith's film Tusk, where a guy's getting slowly turned into a walrus.
How would that be? A great animated film, an idea for this, the sequel to The Nut Job, where the squirrel gets itself onto a plane and is trying to find all the nuts on the plane, all the ones in the silver foil packages.
Yeah, it can't be as bad as the idea what they've got for the sequel to Con Air 2, set in space.
Con Air 2?
Yeah, Con Air 2.
There isn't a Con Air 2, is there?
Yeah, there's talk of a Con Air 2, and they're thinking about setting it in space. Yes, exactly.
Let's go on with the number 5 movie, Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, very, very good film. Very good, interesting political film at times. Brilliant motion capture from Andy Serkis, who plays Caesar in the film. Better in the second one than this one, but I think this has a much more stronger storyline. It's a very interesting movie, the quandaries that play right through the film.
And number 4 is Frozen.
Has Kat seen it?
She has.
So she had her Frozen party.
So of course, at the weekend, I was just having to endure all the things of, do you want to build a snowman all the time, all day? These things, which, as much as it's nice that she got into them and did that, this is like someone telling me jokes from 10 years ago, because I've heard it so many times. It's like, finally free of Frozen references, and then I had to endure them all Saturday.
Yay, and...
She liked it.
She just liked it.
No, she really liked it, and she now wants to get a Olaf plushie.
Yeah, why am I not surprised on that front? Next.
Okay, number 3 is Need for Speed.
Yeah, this is another film that could have easily lost a good 25 minutes of it. It's way too long. Aaron Paul, I don't think he's a strong enough actor at the moment to play a lead role in a film. When it comes to a video game getting transferred into a film, it's slightly competent because the stunts in this movie are proper practical stunts, so they're quite interesting, even though they're not too over the top. They're not too fantastical as the stuff seen in the last Fast and Furious movie. But it's okay. It could have been a car crash, no pun intended there, but it wasn't as bad as that.
Number 2 is new entry for Noah, or as you probably say, Noah.
Noah. Yeah, you need to buy a Groot as well, a cat.
Yeah, she's been... Yeah.
If
they don't
that's
make them. They don't make them.
Can you not
Honestly,
buy them?
I tried to find them. They don't even make them in the States to import them. They do not make them.
That's annoying.
Marvel and Disney have completely made a misstep in not having a Groot plushie ready for Guardians of the Galaxy being released.
You do realise that now probably's got a sweatshop in China working overtime to stitch Groots together for Christmas. For when they're probably going to fast track the film so quickly so it can come out at Christmas and release just a plethora of Groots. So when you walk into the shop to buy a copy of it, you just see Groot staring at you with that smile. Yeah. No. The last 45 minutes of the film is really interesting. In the first half an hour, that's when you get Darren Aronofsky go completely gaga cuckoo. It goes a bit too insane with the rock monsters and stuff like that in the film. But when it becomes on the Ark, and when it becomes all about their survival on the Ark, and the quandary that the father has, Russell Crowe, who plays the lead role in the film, that he has regarding his supposed daughter and things like that, that's when it becomes interesting. It just takes a little while to get there.
I mean, I'd say, I agree with that. It's a very unbalanced and very what's the word? I can't think now. Very badly thought out ideas, misconceived movie. But it's not anywhere near as much as a train wreck as I was expecting it to be, I have to say. Is the odd thing. I can't believe it did so well as it did, because I didn't think it would. But yeah, and the number 1 movie, is it really a surprise? Still at number 1, the Lego Movie.
Because this movie's awesome. I've not yet to buy it on DVD or Blu-ray. I've not bought it. If it's awesome, why do I not own it?
I don't know, because you're cheap.
Yeah, charming. I know somebody who didn't like the Lego Movie.
Really? Oh, name and shame, please.
Stuart Bannerman. Mr. Stuart Bannerman, the person who seems to like every single film, didn't like the Lego Movie.
Really?
Yeah, this is coming from the guy who has major questionable tastes. Who seems to like every single Danny Dyer movie, including the film Straighthead, which is an atrocious film.
I'm honestly surprised. Honestly, really just surprised.
Yes. I was shocked, surprised, and slightly disgusted. Actually, not slightly disgusted, very disgusted.
Disappointed more.
Disgusted. Right, on to the first review of the night.
So Rio 2, which is the sequel to the Rio, obviously, but has the characters of... I forget his name now.
Blue,
yes. Why can I forget Blue? Has the character
because he's a blue macaw. It's obvious.
Well, yeah, duh. Has the character of Blue returning. The blue macaw, who is believed to be him and this other bird, are believed to be the only blue macaws left. They have since had baby blue macaws, 3 of them, and they're sort of going through every sort of normal thing as you see it at the start of the movie. We're doing little sort of musical numbers and such as you had in the first film. It comes on to the news that there is been a discovery in the Amazon where there is sort of an endangered part of the rainforest under threat, which may now be saved because of the fact that there has been found that there are other blue macaws that existing there. So, of course, Blue and his family decide we need to go out there, we need to find these other blue macaw, meet them and see them, because that means we're not the only ones. Here's a clip.
Okay, bug spray, check. Water purifier, check. Band-aids? I feel like I'm forgetting something.
Oh, cool! I'll be in charge of this.
That's not for you.
Hey, Dad, look at this. Did you know the Amazon has snakes that can swallow your vein? Oh, that's sick.
All right, we ready to go? Carla, we're leaving.
I'm not going. It's gonna be lame.
Hey, wait up, family! I'm coming too! Don't worry, buddy. We got your back.
Eva let you come?
Sure. I promised her a spot in the Carnival show. You guys are late. Clock late, but musician early.
Wait, you guys are coming? Okay. I guess I'll go.
Amazon jungle or bust, baby!
Who is ready for a tropical adventure?
I know I am! Let's go!
Wait, we didn't do a head count. Hey, guys, wait up!
So, the whole thing of Rio is that this is the thing with Rio. I like the first one. I have the first one in 3D actually, and I like the 3D in it. I think it's a very well, because it's an animated film, CG'd, and those are the type that normally do well with the 3D animation. But the problem with Rio, the first one, is that it's very lackluster in the story, in the characters. You don't really have much interest in them by the end of the film, which is a shame, and that's a big sort of problem with it. And you'd think they would have tried and maybe learned from that, but unfortunately they haven't. They've just basically done more of the same. They've gone down the Transformers route of just doing a sequel, which looks absolutely fantastic. The animation is brilliant. There's some amazing looking sort of dance number sequences with the birds and everything, and it's all in the animals, and it looks visually stunning and looks great, but just it doesn't really gel as in the same way the first one doesn't. It has these problems with the characters doing stupid things. You have the character played Blue, played by Jesse Eisenberg, who's still got the same sort of neurosis he had in the first one. He hasn't really advanced anymore as a character. There is this whole thing about family and stuff, and this whole thing of that there's a surprise when you get to the rainforest, and that sort of tries to add another element to the story, but it doesn't really gel well together. And I just found that I watched the film, I was like, I enjoyed it, but at the end of it I went, well, it was just more the same. It didn't raise the bar anymore, and it really should have. Visually, animation wise, maybe it did push the bar a little bit, but if it had been good stories, great characters, a lot more interesting and more developments in it, then it would have been a great film, because it would have all come together and it would have made it more a magical thing. But it doesn't. It's not bad. I'm not saying it's terrible. It's certainly among the better animated, technically better animated films that there have been in the last years. But it's lacking that heart that the first one is lacking as well. So I mean, it's a worthwhile sequel to the first one, but just it's the same problems as the first one as well.
Yeah, it takes a lot more than just having fancy animation these days when it comes to animated films. Because the technology has advanced, but by the looks of things with these kind of movies, the story hasn't. You just seem to get carbon copies of previous films, and you need to look at studios or you need to look at films like the Lego Movie for guidance in that instance, because the fact that it got both of them spot on. The animation is very well done, but the story works because it is funny and it pops and it goes along at a decent pace. With Rio 2, that's not the case. I completely agree with you on the fact that it has the same problem as the first one, and you think that they would learn from that, but that's not the case. They haven't learnt from it. They haven't learnt from the problems, because they made the story just way too simple for the animation. The animation just majorly outshines what's on screen.
Yeah, and it is one of those ones that it's lovely to see, and the 3D on it is really amazing as well, because it's got, obviously there's moments you look at it, it's obvious 3D, and then there's moments where you're looking at it, it's very depth enhanced as well. So it's very nicely put together. I suspect that the same people who are in charge of the animation around this time have done the same, because they've done as good a job just unfortunately, probably the same people involved in the story as there was in the first one, because they've done the same job when they really need to get someone in who could have done it better.
Completely agree. Right, next up is The Legend of Hercules. It's directed by Rennie Harlin, whose last film we reviewed of his was Devil's Pass, which was a strange little movie because it was a completely different take to what he's done prior.
Was that not the something pass though? Was it not the Anatoliv Pass or something?
Yeah, the Dyatlov Pass
Dyatlov
incident.
Pass,
yeah, but was changed to Devil's Pass. But yeah, he's done films in the past like Die Hard 2, and he also did Nightmare on Elm Street 4 and Mindhunters, Exorcist, The Beginning. The less said about that, the better. But yeah, he's decided to go back to sort of like the action film. And this stars Keelan Lutz, who plays Hercules, and it's set in 12,000 BC, 1200 BC, 12,000. That's way in the future.
I think you might be going into like Noah territory with that.
Yeah, it's set in 1200 BC in ancient Greece, and the opening of the film sees two armies where a war breaks out. One of the armies wins, and the winner of this army, the king, he decides to brag to his wife about the win that they've actually managed to achieve, and she's not too impressed. As a matter of fact, she's disgusted because the way he runs people and everything is with an iron fist, practically. So she begs to Hera to make something happen. And Hera's solution is the fact that Zeus wants a child. And she ends up becoming the mother to this child. She gives birth to Hercules. The film then fast forward 20 years later to where Hercules is sort of like in the love grips of the character Hebe, who's played by Gaia Weiss. However, she's betrothed to the king's son. Here's a clip.
The peace between our houses will be sealed 4 moons hence with the harvest moon, when my heir, Prince Iphicles, will take the Princess of Crete to be his wife. Yes!
Just happened.
I believe the announcement took them by surprise, Father.
The only surprise is that you allowed it to behave in such a manner without even lifting a finger. Lion Slayer.
So ultimately they think that there's something going on with Hercules and Hebe, and so Hercules is sent out on a mission where he's betrayed on this mission. He gets captured, sold into slavery, and his ultimate goal is for him to fight in the arenas, build up some allies to go up against the king to try and take the throne away from him and bring peace back to the land. Now, the thing with The Legend of Hercules is it's a terrible film. Just straight out the bat, it is a terrible film. You put it alongside the Hercules film, which is out in the cinemas at the moment, and that's leaps and bounds above this one. And that's hard to believe that I'm saying that a Brett Ratner film is leaps and bounds above a Rennie Harlin film. Because this is a director who's gone majorly off the boil, Rennie Harlin. Because Devil's Pass, or the Dyatlov Pass incident, wasn't a very good film. The idea was interesting, but the film itself wasn't very good. I quite liked Mindhunters. Mindhunters is not a bad little movie, but this one...
It has Christian Slater in it.
Yeah, even though it has
and Val Kilmer.
Yeah, it has both of them in it, but they're not annoying in it. It's got a decent premise in Mindhunters, and I thought it was not too bad. This one, no, it's just terrible, because the fact that they think that Keelan Lutz can act. He can't. He just cannot act at all. He's good maybe as a background character or a supporting character alongside an action star. But give him the chance to be the lead actor. He can't, because the fact that he's playing this too serious. And that's where Dwayne Johnson's Hercules works best, because he knows that the character itself is quite cheesy. And he plays it with a bit of comedy to the character, whereas Keelan Lutz with this doesn't. He plays it completely straight-laced and straight-faced, and it doesn't work. The action set pieces are rubbish. The CGI is terrible. It's really, really bad. Worse than Olympus Has Fallen. Because if you remember, Olympus Has Fallen, when some of the CGI regarding the point or the spear monument thing, when that gets destroyed, that is terrible. But it's worse than that. So I can't recommend the film at all, because there isn't anything about the movie that's interesting. It's just majorly avoidable. If you want to see a Hercules movie, go to the cinema to either see Hercules or rent out Disney's Hercules, the animated film, because that is much better.
Yeah. The thing with it's so unbalanced in that it's got everything wrong. It's got the actors terrible. The acting is just so horrible. The whole thing of the villain and the way he turns and tries to kill Hercules is just you kind of just going, "I'll get on with it." You know, he's just playing it up for the cameras, and it's so cheesy. And I've seen better acting from real monkeys doing motion capture. It's just insanely bad. It's so horribly put together.
Yeah, I've seen better acting from Kristen Stewart, and she only has one facial expression.
That's a hard one. Burn. Okay, going on to Labor Day, which is a drama from Jason Reitman, who also wrote it based on the novel of Joyce Maynard of the same title. You have in the movie, we're sort of introduced to the characters by voiceover. The voiceover by Tobey Maguire, who is playing the older version of a character, Henry, played in the film by Gatlin Griffin, who is living with his mother, played by Kate Winslet. She's kind of broken down, a shambles of a woman after her husband has moved on. He's now living with his new family. She's kind of fallen apart as a result of that. She doesn't really go out anywhere in the home. She stays in the home. She goes out only with the help of her son. She's out anywhere and her hands are always shaking. She's just not got any sort of confidence or anything like that. When they go out to get some shopping, they come upon Frank, played by Josh Brolin, who is sort of wounded. He sort of forces his way into the car with them, goes back to their house with them. It turns out he is an escaped convict on the run after escaping from prison hospital after having had his appendix removed. And he takes them back to house, kind of holds them hostage while he's trying to figure out his next move, where he wants to try and get away to some train tracks which are not far from their house. Here's a clip.
How far are the train tracks from your backyard?
Running.
Limping.
20 minutes, maybe. People come over. Often, randomly. Friends, salesmen, or religious people.
I'll make a run for it tonight, and I can stay out of your way until then.
I mean, they don't notice if I went quiet. Even for a little bit.
I just escaped from prison. The last place I want to go is back.
I'm stronger than you think.
I don't doubt that.
And I won't let anything happen to my son.
He's in good hands.
So as you can imagine, from then on, things get a bit more sort of closer. They end up sort of becoming this weird kind of family unit because he starts taking charge, but is also very kind to them and treats them kind of respectfully. He starts kind of bonding with the son, as well as also bonding with Adele, Kate Winslet's character. And the thing that is kind of interesting about it that I've not really found with anything else before that's been based on the book, there's this very weird thing in this where I could almost feel the words coming from the book onto the screen. I've not read the book, so I have no idea how the book goes, how the book is written. But the thing that's very well done in this film by Jason Reitman, in the way that he's directed it, is it's very tactile on the screen. There's this weirdness to it that basically there's a point where he's tying them up to chairs, and he ties up Kate Winslet's character's hands behind her back, and he's tying her ankles to the legs, and it's very weirdly tactile in the way that he does it, and it's shown on camera. And it's the way that it's done. I'm sure that it's based on the book and it's taking elements from the book because of the fact it does mention in voiceover the whole thing about Henry being told the whole thing of meeting a girlfriend and finding them, and the whole thing of then the way that there's that longing for not so much intimacy but physical contact. And that kind of goes in with that, which is a weird thing. I know it's weird saying it, but that's something that really became apparent throughout, not just that moment in the film, but throughout the entirety of the film. A little bit at some point, it's very in your face, too much, and you kind of go, you're pushing it in the face a bit too much now. Don't be so strong. Be a little bit more subtle with it. But that's something that I really found in this that I'd not really found in many other films based on a book before. Another thing that's really odd is the fact the way that it deals with flashbacks. There are lots of moments during it where it deals with flashbacks, but they're not always coherent. They're not always very big longs. They're not long flashbacks. They're literally a flash of someone thinking of something, and then you see it in jumble bits, and the more and more you go on, you see more of it, and it then becomes apparent, and you begin to understand it, and it makes sense. And that again was very nice and refreshing. I found that very interesting in the way it was done, that it's not boring, and also it kept you interested in the characters because you wanted to know their backstories, you wanted to know more of what happened. So I've got to say, as much as it's very cliched, and you go along to the end, and the ending as well, I have a bit of an issue with the way that it ends. It kind of feels like it has an ending, then it goes on, then it has another ending, then it goes on, then it has another ending, but none of them is really a proper ending, is the problem I have with it. So I was very annoyed by that respect, but it's a very nice effort. I really like the things they've done. I just wish there'd been some other choices made, especially towards the end.
I've not had a chance to see this because I have just been majorly too busy, but by the trailer and from word of mouth when it was originally came out, it got decent reviews because the acting is so good in the film.
It is. Josh Brolin is really, really good at holding the screen in the scenes he's in, and he's very... It's not the typical kind of criminal on the run thing you see. It's a very different, dynamic view of that works with the Kate Winslet character and with the Gatling Griffin character, the son. And it melds together, but it's very... what a coincidence. He's there when that happens to happen, and it kind of... There's moments within it where it's just... It kind of feels a bit lazy, and I don't know if that's down to the book or down to the film.
Right, next film, completely different movie, I'm guessing, is Startup. It's a small British prison drama film. It's directed by David Mackenzie, and it stars Jack O'Connell, who plays Eric. Not Eric as in Banana Man, because that would make it really interesting. Second he walked into prison, he gets given a banana and he turns into a guy in a big, massive blue outfit. That would have been funny. But he plays 19-year-old Eric. He's a violent kid. He's had a really, really troubled past. You discover his past throughout the film itself. And it's him getting transferred from a young offenders prison to a main proper prison, where at the start of the film we see him getting processed through the means and measures of him getting into prison and sort of like wondering what's going on. And then through the rest of the film, it's him trying to suit to life at the prison and becoming his violent self, not tolerating anybody telling him what to do. He does exactly what he expects himself to do. And he gets given a chance by getting put on a programme, and he gets called up to speak to the governor. Here's a clip.
You mentioned risk. What risk?
Starve. Sorry.
The governor wants to see you.
If you comply with the regime, I'm prepared to offer you a place back on the wing. And a special kind of therapy with Mr. Baumer, with whom you cooperated upstairs. But one more incident of any kind that comes to my attention, you'll be straight back down here.
Is this one problem?
You're going to tell me what that is?
I'm just saying. Say this therapy goes well, and it changes my life, and I rehabilitate. And then you lay it on for the next geezer, and it works for him and the next. And everything's sweet, yeah? Crime rates start to come down, police got less people to nick, courts got less people to convict. Pretty soon, you're out of a job. Do you mind?
We discover also in the same prison as Eric is his father, who's played by Ben Mendelsohn, who plays Neville, and it sort of like spurs him on, but in the wrong kind of sense, because like I said, the past of Eric, he's had major trouble with his family, especially his father. His father's always been detached from him, and the way he tries to encourage him to make his life more straight-faced, you think to yourself, that's definitely the pot calling the kettle black. considering how you treat him and how you find out about his life. And the thing with Startup, I read a review of this film before I watched it, and it was just one comment from the review stuck with me. The person turned around and said that the movie is terrible, and he'd rather actually be in prison than watch the film. And this was before I actually watched the film. So then I watched the film, and at the end of the movie I was thinking, did he watch exactly the same film as me? Because one of the only problems I had with the film is it just feels slightly too overly long. It just feels like it overstays its welcome a bit too much. Jack O'Connell is fantastic in the movie as Eric. He's really made for this character, to be honest. He's come from Skins, and then he's done a few other British films, and now he's gone on to do a hard-hitting role like this, and it's a character which needs a lot of angst and anger behind him, and Jack O'Connell brings that brilliantly to the screen. Even when he's silent, you expect he's going to do something really nasty. And one of the first scenes that you see him, even before he speaks, he puts something in a light in his cell. And I don't know what it was. It might have been a shank or...
I think it was, yeah, it's a blade of some kind.
Yeah, so even before he speaks, he does something like that. And so it's a brilliant performance by Jack O'Connell. The same with Ben Mendelsohn, who plays Neville. It's a really good performance on his. You get the very stereotypical characters in the prison, including the one who's supposedly the high and mighty, and he's a guy in glasses and reminds me of somebody from Porridge rather than something from this. But I thought the cast was really well done. I thought his character developed during the film, which is, you don't fully see that kind of thing in a violent prison movie like this. So you normally just see it concentrate on the riot element of it. But I quite enjoyed it. I thought it was a really well acted, very well executed film.
I really, really enjoyed it as well. I remember seeing it back at the cinema time when it came out, and really being impressed with saying the acting. But I really liked the whole thing of it really having this whole thing about the prison mentality in there, and kind of showing that in full force, and how the prisoners all reacted, and that's part of his character as well, which made it even more interesting. It's not only the surroundings, but also the character's surroundings, if you get what I mean.
Yeah,
that makes it interesting.
What I also found funny is just when I was watching the film and they're doing things like they're out in the yard and getting a bit of exercise, their idea of exercise is run around in a circle. And you don't see that kind of thing in British prison films anyway. You normally see it in American films where they're out in a huge massive yard playing basketball and weight training and stuff like that. But in this film, it's all very contained, and so you do, like you said, see a proper prison life on the violent spectrum end. If you're after seeing everyday prison life, you need to watch these kind of dramas or these documentaries that the BBC or another channel like that show.
Yeah, I was really, really kind of impressed with that as well. But the only thing I did have an issue with is that it kind of felt like it didn't have an ending. I didn't feel it was it was overly long, I think, as you did, but I felt that it definitely there was a little bit at the end that needed to be put on just to show what happened after the events that we see in the film. I felt it just got to a point that it just stopped.
Yeah, you don't discover whether he got out of prison or when he got out of prison, etc.
Yeah, so there's nothing to sort of wrap it up.
Yeah, with his character. But I do agree. I do think it is slightly too overlong myself. I felt it did drag a little bit near to the end, that it was trying to add extra on top of it when it didn't need it. Okay,
so I'll go on to The Double, which is by Richard Ayoade.
Yep.
Richard Ayoade. I want to say Ayoade, but it's not. It's Ayoade, isn't it? Yeah.
Ayoade.
Who has written a movie that's based on a short novel by Dostoevsky, and it's with the main character of Simon, who's played by Jesse Eisenberg, who works at a company. It's just a sort of a clerical company he works at. Things kind of seem fine and normal and everything okay. He's got a crush on the girl who works in the copy room, played by Mia Wasikowska. He's sort of going about that. He's kind of working up the encouragement to ask her out. He sees her sort of on the train every day to work, and things seem to be going okay for him at work until it turns out someone else turns up at work who seems to be an exact double of him, played again by Jesse Eisenberg, who plays James. The two of them then sort of strike up a weird friendship, even though there's obviously this weirdness between the two of them looking exactly the same. and there's sort of a bit of a tension between the two because they're not exactly the same. They do look identical, although they kind of have different sort of outlooks in the ways that they interact with people. Here's a clip.
What would be? What do you want to... Okay, no, sorry, then. I'll just have a Coke and a bagel. We're out of bagels. Oh, right. Then, right. Then I'll just... Come on. Right, sorry. I'll just have the Coke then, I guess.
A Coke. And you? A coffee. A coffee.
And scrambled eggs.
You don't serve breakfast in the evening?
Why not?
Because it says so on the menu.
Well, do you still have eggs here?
Yeah.
And do you have a frying pan?
Yeah.
Then do me a favor and make me some scrambled eggs.
Fine. Anything else?
Bacon.
Bacon.
And toast.
And toast.
And a beer.
And a beer. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Are you sure?
Just give me the damn food. What? I'm hungry. No, it's just... I don't know. I would have never done that. You don't like eggs? No, I mean, I just don't think I would feel comfortable talking to someone like that. She's a waitress. She's here to serve us. If you don't tell her what you actually want, how can she do her job? No, I can see that she can be a little short sometimes, and I do think being forthright certainly has its place. And I'm not, like, criticizing your behavior or anything.
Here's your coffee, your beer, and your breakfast. We're out of Coke.
So you have this weirdness of the two of them, and then all of a sudden the fact that then he becomes kind of the underling in the office, and this new version of him then becomes the big one. Everyone's applauding him and stuff, and there's this then bone of contention between the two of them. There's this weird thing with the double of that it's kind of at times very like a Terry Gilliam film, in that it's very oddly shot. It's very kind of artistically shot like that, the way he does his films, but also that it has a problem with, I think, that the narration as a result of that suffers because it kind of jumps a lot. It makes random jumps at points in the story and also in the way it's filmed, and that to me I found honestly a bit confusing and a bit sort of distracting from what I was trying to pay attention to the story or to the characters. And it's a big problem I have with it, that I kind of lost interest at parts because of the fact that it started just losing me with how random things were getting to it. I don't think it's badly directed. I think it's very well directed. In fact, I think it's a nicely shot, nicely done. I just think it's very disconnected from itself at parts that it needs to be, I think, trimmed down, but put in, I think, a bit more pacing added to it. So I think it needs to have certain things taken out and more of the things certain things that would be left put in to kind of balance it out a bit more, because it's very uneven. It's very, you kind of jump ahead, then it kind of stalls, then it jumps ahead, then it stalls, and it kind of loses pace. And because of that, I found by the end of it I was very exhausted. It's not even a long film. It's 93 minutes long, which means it's just an hour and a half, and for a film to be that exhausting, an hour and a half, and not come away that you kind of get a lot from it, or you're thinking, oh, there's this. I literally came away and I was like, oh, thank God that's over. Not in the oh God, get it finished, don't want it. More in a case of like, my head hurts in that kind of a way. And so that's, I think, a big problem with the film, in that it's very disconnected. It doesn't make sense in that very Terry Gilliam way, but it's entertaining in that Terry Gilliam way. That I think I'm going to have to watch it again in the future. Probably not for a little while, because it will give me a major headache. But I kind of want to see it again to see if I get more from it the second time around, or if it's just if I get very bored from it and I want to put it off the second time around. I don't know, but it's an intriguing film. I just don't think that it works entirely.
So the quote on the poster is saying, Andrew Hazel from the Monday Movie Show says, "Ow, my brain hurts."
Yeah, something like that, along those lines of, yeah, or gave me a headache for 2 days or something. You know, it's
made me think, and I didn't want to do it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that, I mean, the casting in it is very good. Jesse Eisenberg is brilliant in both roles. He's very, very good in it. He's very weird in it, because obviously the two characters are very different. You can tell which one he is most of the time. He doesn't have to say anything. You just tell from the way he's acting in it. I would say that Mia Wasikowska is very wasted in it. The role isn't very big, and she doesn't have a lot to do, which is where, as I say, things that need to be taken out and things that need to be put in a bit more of. I think her character needs to have a bit more in the film, and some other elements taken out to make up for that. So I say it's very unbalanced, but I do like it, but not love it. I have issues with it.
Right, it's time to get to the bargain basement section of the show. We practically have one of these every single week, but this week, I don't know about yours, but definitely with mine. So it might be a twofer in this case. Almost Human, It's directed by Joe Bigos, and it's a small little science fiction horror film done on an idea that he had and shot on a very, very small budget in a very short period of time. I think he only shot it in a period of like 12 days. And it centres around Seth and his friend Mark. And Mark has just been disappeared. He's been abducted. So 2 years fast forward from Mark's original abduction, Seth has never given up hope of actually seeking out his friend, but he's slowly got on with his life over the period of time. He then learns that Mark has come back, wondering where he's been. However, with Mark's appearance, there seems to be a slew of bodies cropping up, people getting killed in very gruesome and nasty fashion, and Seth thinks that it's Mark who's been doing this. And so with the help of his girlfriend Jen, he has to try and stop his friend from killing more people. It's a very simple, straightforward premise. You don't know why he's come back on Earth or why he's come back to kill people, where he actually went. All we know, he's been abducted. But the film itself, you can definitely tell that it's only been shot over the period of 12 days. You can definitely tell it's got a small budget. The problem is that the director overstretches himself so much so that the movie itself just isn't interesting at all. He tries to cram in so much into the movie that you would normally expect in a film to have a budget of about 10 times this, and he doesn't succeed. He doesn't have the means and ways to be able to actually pull it off. I know I hark on with the movie Monsters, because you look at Gareth Edwards. Gareth Edwards is the one who did The Raid. If you look at Gareth Edwards, who did Monsters, he had a budget of around about 500,000, and he did a lot of the special effects on his laptop at home. And he managed to succeed with that movie because I don't know how long he spent on creating the monsters and things like that for the film. With this one, it just felt like a rush job. Like he had an idea. He thought, I'll get a few people who I might know to do this idea. We'll make it a science fiction horror film. We've only got 12 days. We've only got a budget of no more than, say, $50,000. We'll try our best to see what comes out. And it's just a messy film. It's not interesting. There's a few decent really gory death scenes in the film, but that doesn't make a film. It just doesn't make the film interesting at all. It's an avoidable movie. It's one of those movies where if you go into places like HMV or some company like that, you find it in the shelf which is far away from the top 10 or the top 50 films, and the kind of shelf which the movie's only on there for a week, just to remind people that there are other new entries out.
It is unfortunately a bit similar with my reaction, not horror aspect, but the film that's a comedy, which is Welcome to the Jungle, which is not the movie with The Rock in it, which is from about 10 years ago now, surprisingly. It is the one with Jean-Claude Van Damme in it.
There's a cannibal film called Welcome to the Jungle as well.
Really?
Which was released about 5 years ago.
Okay, so we're going to get another one in 5 years then called Welcome to the Jungle again then.
Yeah, pretty much.
This time we've got Jean-Claude Van Damme in the movie, but the main character is played by Adam Brody, who is a guy who works at a advertising company. Comes up with the adverts. He's basically doing a design for that. He goes into a meeting, but he's kind of blocked out. Someone else has taken it. They get their appreciation for it. They get the job and everything. The whole company is kind of a bit odd at ends with everyone. So the boss, played by Dennis Haysbert, decides he's going to send everyone on a company retreat and send them on this little trip to an island where they're all going to sort of go through this training thing with Storm, a guy who is an ex-Marine and played by Jean-Claude Van Damme, who is going to, train them all to be better, be more confident, but also to have a little fun. When they're on the island, there's this whole things of all these kind of traps and things that set up, and gets them to all these kind of weird things, including a part where he gets them to sort of scream out all their tensions and get out all their issues. Here's a clip.
We are going to let out the primal scream to unleash the warrior inside us. Miss Brenda. Good. Not that. You have issues. Chris.
Oh! Hey, come here. I'm not really a screamer.
Scream like I'm squeezing into your balls. You're laughing at me, boy. Like I am squeezing into your balls. Disappointing. Go. Next.
My father used to make pancakes in the morning, but I was not allowed to eat any! Why? Not every Asian kid needs to learn how to play the violin, Mom! I wanted to learn how to play baseball!
Troy. Excellent. Excellent.
So, here's the thing with Welcome to the Jungle. It's not funny. I didn't really laugh. I giggled at a couple of bits. There is a thing that's ongoing through it to do with a tiger on the island that kind of gets a bit of a laugh, but not really massive. And there's moments in it where it's then all becomes this whole thing of, does it turn into sort of Lord of the Flies kind of thing, because they all start going mad, and it kind of gets well out of hand, and you're kind of watching it going, I've seen better than this on television with things, and genuinely I have. There's some stuff on television that's this kind of same kind of thing, which is funnier, it's more better put together, and it has better acting than this. And really, I just don't know how. I mean, I know Van Damme has been relegated to straight to video department, but even this is kind of embarrassing. It's not very well put together. It's awful, and I mean, you've got someone like Dennis Haysbert, who's a great actor. I really do like him a lot of stuff, but in this, he's kind of, you're watching him, he's just like, it's like he doesn't care, because he can do good acting in scenes, but in this he's just kind of like, he's doing it, he's in it for just, it's a paycheck really, and that's kind of what it is for everyone. I think it's just a paycheck movie, and it's probably not even much of a paycheck. It's just a little thing that they probably spent a couple of days on, got a little dough for it, and that was it. Maybe got to spend a day on the island or something and have fun. That's probably why they did it, so they could go to an island and have fun.
Yay. So, yeah, I'm not going to watch it because I'm not a Jean-Claude Van Damme fan at all, to be honest. So I'm guessing even if you are a huge Jean-Claude Van Damme fan, you'll be majorly disappointed with it.
They probably will, because it's not a Van Damme martial arts thing. It's a Van Damme trying to be funny thing.
So it's a majorly avoidable Van Damme thing. Yeah. Right, that's it for the new releases of this week. TV movie of the week first before we do our movies of the week.
Right, okay. I've kind of cheated because I'm not in the week, but I am. I say that because the film I've got is next Sunday, so when we'll actually be doing the show next Sunday, but it's after the show, pretty much immediately after the show. It's 11:05 p.m. Sunday night on the 10th of August. So that's why I'm saying now you've got a whole week to be ready for it. Listen to us next week, and then afterwards go and watch Memento on Film 4 at 11:05 p.m.
And mine is on Thursday, the 7th, before Following the Nerd, which I'm on. So that's actually quite good, that as well. Film 4, The Addams Family. Yeah, I love the.
You actually did the clicking as well. That's impressive.
Yeah. I love The Addams Family. It's a genius movie. So yeah, definitely watch The Addams Family if you've not seen it. I had a struggle to try and find a movie for TV movie of the week, and I saw this was on Film 4, so I thought, why not? Right. This is probably the obvious thing ever, so I'm just going to leave it just a little bit longer just to make people wonder what we're going to make our movie of the week. Make sure you check out our website, mondaymovieshow.co.uk. I know I said I was going to put up a plethora of trailers. I failed on that instance because I've been really busy.
Admittedly, there hasn't been a lot out now this week. There were some last week, but not this week.
Yeah, so I still might have enough time to post them up on the site over the week. Might stretch them out a little bit so there's a bit of content up on there. You can catch us on Facebook, facebook.com/Monday Movie Show. On Twitter, at Monday Movie Show. I'm at Cryptic Tadpole. Andrew's at EHDVD. As I've just said there, Following the Nerd is on Thursday night at 9 o'clock. From Page 2 Screen, which is Stuart, who I've just done the From Page 2 Screen podcast with. And the Serum Foundation, serumfoundation.org.uk, which you can donate to. Every little penny helps. No matter how much you give, it just really does help. You can also email us, mondaymovieshow@yahoo.com. So, the obvious question with probably the most obvious answer of the year. Your movie of the week.
Well, it's got a raccoon in it. So, which one is it, that again? Which one's got a raccoon in it?
The Nut Job.
No, not that one.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh yeah, that's it.
Yep, obvious. Guardians of the Galaxy by a long mile. DVD wise, Starred Up.
I'm gonna say DVD wise, well, I'm gonna say Labor Day. I think. I think. Yeah.
You'll get your entertainment, cinema-wise, from Guardians of the Galaxy, and you'll get your seriousness from something like Startup.
Yeah, Startup is fantastic, but not for everyone's taste, obviously, because of the language involved, which is very, very strong throughout. But, Labor Day, I think, for DVD.
Right, so as I said, that's it for this week's show. We will be back next Sunday, right about 8:30 if you're listening to us live. Please listen to us live instead of just listening to us podcast-wise. It'd be nice to have a few people in the live chat. Where we'll probably be looking at The In-Betweeners 2 and Planes 2, even though we could have reviewed it this week because it was released in Scotland. And on DVD and Blu-ray, we're looking at Divergent and The Raid 2. However, the clip we are playing out on this week's show is for Lucy. It's Luc Besson's latest film. It's out in a couple of weeks' time. It's starring Scarlett Johansson and Morgan Freeman. And it looks like a very interesting Luc Besson movie. So until next week, goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Miss? Hello? Hey, miss!
I need help. It's urgent.
You cannot be in here. We are operating. Please, get out.
You wouldn't have been able to save him anyway. The tumor already invaded the cortex on the right side of the spine. Somebody put a bag of drugs in me. I need you to remove it. It's leaking. Do it now.
Right. I'll just administer a local anesthetic.
Don't bother.